Hello, my name is Aletha Stahl, and I'm Senior Intercultural Learning Specialist at Purdue University's Center for Intercultural Learning, Mentorship, Assessment, and Research. This video is for facilitators. In it, I introduce a classroom-based version of Craig Storti's excellent tool, How Does a Behavior Mean? The activity for both versions entails a written list of behaviors that participants are asked to respond to or interpret in writing. These behaviors are likely to be interpreted as rude, inappropriate, or in some way incongruent from a mainstream United States cultural point of view. Participants are then given additional cultural or situational information related to these behaviors, and small groups discuss the meaning the behaviors might have for individuals given that information. The idea is to help participants develop openness and empathy. Storti's tool addresses behaviors in multiple settings. I encourage you to get Storti's book and look at that tool, since it may make the most sense for your learning community. The adapted tool, retitled, What Does a Behavior Mean?, uses behaviors that might be encountered in a higher education classroom, especially in the United States. I use this tool with faculty and staff with the aim of equipping them to create more inclusive learning environments. The behaviors on the worksheet you see here assume a physical classroom, but you might want to add your own examples from a virtual learning context. I facilitate this activity by distributing the worksheet you see to participants, a paper version if we're in person, a digital copy if we're in a virtual space. I tell them to look only at the first side and give them 5 to 6 minutes to fill it out. If we're virtual, I offer the option of simply looking at each number and thinking through the answers. I then break the larger group into discussion groups of 3 to 4 and tell them to turn over the sheet and discuss the situations on the back, incorporating a discussion of their answers from the front as they wish. For groups to discuss each example requires 20 to 30 minutes. I often give them only 10 to 15 minutes and suggest that they discuss the examples that stood out to them. This works particularly well with faculty and staff, since they usually grasp the principle quickly and can readily extrapolate meanings in the situations. I then bring the group back together for a collective debrief. The questions I use are on this slide. If it doesn't come out in the first question, the question about where did you want to push back usually elicits the kicking a dog example. Once, a practicing therapist exclaimed, "There's a diagnosis for that, and it's psychopath." I make sure animal lovers have time to express their feelings, and since I identify with them, I mention this, but give anecdotal examples of how I learned about this cultural difference and accommodate it. A frequent reaction to both the dog and plagiarism examples is, "What culture does that?" When I get that question, I usually pitch it to the group to see what knowledge they bring. Wherever it goes, I try to ensure that stereotypes aren't generated or reinforced. The point is to help participants grasp the degree to which deep-seated, often unconscious cultural values and socially silenced personal situations inform behaviors. I'm a fairly open-ended facilitator, so tend not to tell people the takeaways I think they should get. Instead, I run with the discussion and try to reflect back what I hear to the group, reinforcing my intended learning outcomes if someone puts them in their own words. In one discussion, a participant asked, "But shouldn't people conform to the culture here?" And another answered, "Maybe, but how will they know what expectations are unless we tell them?" In general, the best discussions usually move in this direction, with participants inspiring each other toward more self-awareness, more ownership of their own role in bridging differences, and ideas for how that can be done. This activity has consistently generated positive feedback and is frequently singled out from among others as one that will stick with participants. If you use this activity, I encourage you to write a review of it in the Hub by clicking on the Review tab. It would be great to have you add facilitator suggestions too, since everyone's facilitation style is different. And you could also add examples, especially examples in virtual settings. In general, I invite you to share your learning activities, research, and curated resources in the Hub. Your work can make a difference.